How much do you know about algal biofuel? Before humans even existed, other organisms used algae, a type of single-celled photosynthetic organism, as a food source. However, interest in these life forms as a source of fuel for inorganic systems has been far more recent. The first proposal to use algae as fuel, made in 1955, is attributed to someone named Mier. But research into this potential energy provider is claimed to have been kickstarted by the oil crisis in the 1970s. Nevertheless, algal biofuels are generally considered Generation 3 biofuels. Despite decades of research, many applications and processes for algal biofuel are still early in development due to several setbacks. Because different species of algae have different fertilization and climatic requirements, outdoor pools are usually most effective for only specific species in specific areas. When oceans, lakes, and ponds aren't suitable platforms for algae, industrial photobioreactors may be used. Different prototypes for indoor strategies have included tanks with clear sides called green walls, bubble columns, tubular photobioreactors, and raceway ponds, which are like long, narrow tracks, all of which are essentially containers for water with different designs to facilitate faster growing cycles. Other interesting proposals for cultivation include growing algae in wastewater, which has shown potential. Algae is transformed into different biofuels in a variety of ways. Microalgae is generally high in lipid content, which is useful for producing biodiesel and biomass that can be burned. In a simple method to access usable materials from microalgae, centrifuges pull cell precipitates from the algae for liquefaction, which is a process by which FAO oil is made. Other strategies for collecting energy include gasification, combustion, and pyrolysis. More unconventional approaches being studied include hydrothermal carbonization, hydrothermal liquefaction, and supercritical water gasification. With further processing, these systems produce activated carbon, electricity, transport biofuel, bio-DME, and bio-H2, all usable sources of energy. Unlike microalgae, macroalgae do not have high lipid content but make up for it in their phosphorus and nitrogen content as well as the usefulness of their carbohydrates. By first separating proteins from the cell and then running them through a hydrolysis reactor, simulated moving bed, and a fermenter, carbohydrates can be turned into acetone, butanol, and ethanol. Cyanobacteria, another type of single-cell autotrophic organism, which is not algae but is still classified with algae as a biofuel source, has additionally been genetically modified to make extracting ethanol from them easier. Algae has been studied as a source of energy for more than 50 years, but studies admit that far more research must be done to realize the potential of algal biofuels. Many different ways to draw energy-dense products from algae and turn them into usable fuel have been discovered, but none have yet demonstrated the economic viability, efficiency, and scalability to start bringing algal biofuels into the marketplace. Algae is a major carbon absorber due to its status as an autotroph, its sheer volume, and its efficiency due to its small size. However, like other autotrophs, when burned or otherwise broken down by humans, their carbon is usually re-released into the atmosphere. However, there is a product of algae pyrolysis that results in a biofertilizer that can be used as fuel that researchers call carbon negative. Tests indicate that using this type of fuel can reduce CO2 emissions by 84%. Additionally, it is claimed that recycling methanol in the process of converting algae to biodiesel can recycle a lot of carbon. These claims indicate that, though when used as a fuel, algae is still frequently releasing carbon, algae biofuels can release far less carbon than other fuels, and algae can quickly sequester it again. Many research studies claim that algae has the potential to be an economically beneficial fuel source, with higher energy production for fertilizer and area used than many other biofuel feedstocks, and the potential to clean up undesirable waste. Nevertheless, it has been difficult to find a financially worthwhile method for producing and processing algae on a large commercial scale. Without the development of more efficient processes, bio-oil and other algal yields remain inefficient and economically unviable. Treatment methods such as fermentation and hydrotreatment on algae are even asserted to be more expensive than treatments for other biofuels. However, the dedication of organizations such as Bioenergy's Technologies Office, which has a program specifically for supporting algal biofuels and bioproducts, could change algae biofuels' fate as an economic failure in the future. Because algae hasn't been made a mainstream source of biofuel, the public knows very little about it, and not much effort is being made to change that. Some individual companies have made an effort to fund research or include information about the potential of this fuel in their media, such as National Geographic. But because algal biofuel isn't bringing in any money, developers aren't able to advertise the energy source or push biofuel campaigns. As a fuel source, algae and related organisms such as cyanobacteria are presently inaccessible despite optimism about efficiency, flexibility, carbon friendliness, and potential cost effectiveness of the source. Diverse strategies for growing, harvesting, and processing algae into biofuels have not proved fruitful in meeting the high expectations placed on this minute organism. If more interest was given to this endeavor by the public, researchers, and government, algae could someday be the fuel of the future. But that would require significant collaboration between researchers and connections to power and public media to pull off, and the problem of oil dominance in political sectors would have to be conquered first. If money wasn't an obstacle in developing algal biofuels, here's what we would do. Find the most promising strategies already tested and work to develop these into large-scale, efficient means of production. push the appeal of algal fuels into the public to gain support and encourage civilians to feel more comfortable with the transition to biofuels and algae. Introduce the developed product and potential of the fuel source to government entities and major corporations that can make use of the biofuel. Increase accessibility of algae and algal fuel production to less developed nations, and continue researching to consistently develop better methods and products. This could push algal biofuel to reach its potential. Information in this presentation was found through nationalgeographic.org, microbiologysociety.org, algaliving.com, Algae Biofuel, Current Status and Future Applications for Renewable and Sustainable Energy Reviews, Volume 90, and the book Algal Biofuels by Leonel Pereira, which was found in the Evans Library and contains 5 papers that were also cited in this presentation. All background graphics designs that were used in this presentation were derived from Canva's free library.